Hey everyone, we're here again with the Clarion Herald video notebook. It's March 27th, Friday, and we hope to share a little bit about the behind the scenes happenings at the Archdiocese of New Orleans, and we hope that this is really will be helpful for you and just figuring out what's going on. I'm Peter Finney, I'm the editor of the Clarion Herald. I'm here with Christine Bordelon, who's our associate editor, and with Beth Donzi, who's our staff writer and Kids Clarion editor. And I'll just start off. Today, Archbishop Aymond, who is at home in his residence, he's self-quarantining because he did contract the coronavirus. He's doing okay, though. He said he appreciates the prayers that people have been making on his behalf and for others. He did mention kind of officially for the first time that Holy Week is very likely to be a kind of a silent, private liturgy week. And really, he said it's unprecedented in the Archdiocese of New Orleans history that during Holy Week, which is Palm Sunday through Easter Sunday, the masses and the other liturgies that are celebrated are going to be done in private because the governor has certainly prohibited any large gatherings beyond 10 people. So the Archbishop said things that people may be certainly familiar with. Palm Sunday. The palms will be blessed by the priest, but the palms will be put inside the churches where people at various times can go and pick up a blessed palm. So they won't be able to stay for the Mass, but they can pick up a blessed palm. On Holy Thursday, which is the Mass of the Last Supper, one of the highlights is usually the washing of the feet. They're going to omit that rite because they just have the fear for any kind of spreading of germs. Good Friday, one of the big highlights of the Good Friday service is people venerate the cross, usually with a kiss. But because of that situation, they're just going to hold the cross up, and the people in the church, the very few people in the church, are going to just say a prayer, a silent prayer, and that'll be their way of venerating the cross. Easter Vigil will go on as normal at the cathedral and at parishes around the Archdiocese, and Easter Sunday Mass also at churches and at the cathedral. Again, the cathedral masses and all the liturgies will be broadcast by WLAE in New Orleans, and also live streamed on thedailymass.com, thedailymass.com. And I'll throw it to you guys, but the Archbishop was very thankful that so many parishes themselves are doing their own masses and live streaming to their own community to keep that community going. It's going to be a different Holy Week, obviously, but this is something that we all kind of have to go through. So, Christine, what's it been like for you this week? And maybe you can share a little bit of news that you've been working on.
Well, I tell you, it's amazing how our church continues to operate even in these dire times. Like you said, the masses are being televised, on Facebook Live or other different social media. You've got people doing confessions outside and, drive-by confessions or in person, within the 6 feet distance. And you've got so many parishes that, the people said, we've got to do something. We're home, we need to do something. And one of the stories that I'm working on, St. Benil, is doing mask making. Some of the hospitals aren't accepting them, but some are, and they're putting them over the protective masks so that they can save the protective masks from getting dirty, and they can, wear them a little bit longer than they normally do. And they're also doing care baskets with gift cards and other things for their healthcare workers in the parish and then other facilities who they're hearing from that need it. So that's one of the things. And I think, Beth, you're working on a similar mask making story too, huh?
Actually, yes, that St. Benedict Church in Covington has a very vibrant prayer blanket ministry. They crochet or sew together these prayer blankets for the sick. Well, guess what? They're retooling, they're refocusing their efforts on making medical gowns and masks specifically for the staff at Chateau de Notre Dame Hospice, and our three archdiocesan nursing homes, Chateau de Notre Dame, Weinhoven, and Our Lady of Wisdom. Those staff don't normally wear masks and gowns, but of course these are unusual times, and as an added layer of protection, the ladies of St. Benedict in Covington are sewing up gowns and masks and delivering them once a week to the Notre Dame health system. So things are humming along. I love how these ministries are sort of readjusting what they're doing, sort of in a wartime situation. So that's what's going on at St. Benedict, which is a small church in Covington. It's not
And
a huge.
you mentioned on the North Shore, an
Right.
interesting. Now I know there's not too many weddings going on right now, but there was an interesting story of a lot of wedding on the North Shore.
Yes, Our Lady of the Lake on March 21st. It was a pre-scheduled date and time for this couple. Normally, Father Mark Lomax said, we don't usually schedule weddings during the Lenten season because it's a penitential season and not a celebratory season. But he did make a special concession way back when, and because the groom is an NOPD officer, and he had a very tight schedule. So they had it all set for March 21st. Corona arrives. They went ahead with it anyway, with just immediate family. The bride wore just a very nice dress, and the groom wore his suit, not the tux. And in 90 days, they will celebrate their 3rd month anniversary mass with all the trappings, I guess, with the dress and the big celebration.
Proud, right?
In 3 months' time. So the actual marriage did take place on March 21st. And I think one of the things that hit me about it was how Father Mark said, because I said, was it weird being in a practically empty church? He said, well, I never really focus on the number of congregants. I'm always focusing on the couple and their special moment, the sacrament of marriage. So it really didn't faze him that the pews were empty. And having said that, the pews weren't even empty because there's also a push at that church to fill the actual pews with individual photos of parishioners who usually sit at that location. The parochial vicar, Father Douglas Bush, decided to gather some photos together, put them in the pews so that he wouldn't feel as lonely, I guess, when he celebrated Mass on his own in the church. So added a nice little touch to this wedding that took place on March 21st. So anyway.
I have pictures from a wedding too, at St. Anthony of Padua. While I was out shooting some pictures of confession outside, there was a wedding going on inside. And again, they were scheduled to get married that day too.
Right.
Moved it up from, an evening wedding with over 200 guests to an afternoon wedding with a total of 9 people.
Right.
We have pictures that's going to be included in this issue of the Clarion too. And you're right, because the parish church of the bride's family, St. Charles Borromeo, wouldn't do their wedding ceremony during Lent. A lot of the parishes won't do that. But St. Anthony of Padua was able to do it. And so they continued, and so they did get married.
One thing I thought was interesting, the Archbishop said today that with funerals, what he's suggesting, and he thinks this is going to be the norm until the coronavirus goes away, because of the limit on the size of the crowd, that they would do the priest or the deacon would do a gravesite blessing and an interment at the tomb. But then whenever the virus, the effects end, they would have a memorial mass for a much larger group of the family and the extended family and relatives and friends. So I think that's kind of the way the Archdiocese is handling funerals, these days. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens.
I had talked to one of the funeral homes locally, and he said, well, if you weren't doing a cremation, they could do the graveside burial, like you're saying. But again, everything is limited to 10 or less people.
Right.
So it's available. And some of the funeral homes also have video where they could video a ceremony and people could see it remotely. So they could still be a part of it. But you're right. I think most of them are doing something small, and then they'll have some kind of a service where they can actually pray together as a family for the death of their loved one.
Yeah. One thing.
And in the wedding lexicon, it becomes a renewal of vows and it's couched as an anniversary mass. It's not a second wedding of any kind because they've already been married,
Correct.
But they will have a bigger renewal of vows celebration. That's how they're going to look at it.
I was speaking to Corey Howitt, who is the executive director of the Catholic Community Foundation. And 5 years ago, 2015, the Archdiocese started a 24-hour giving campaign called I Give Catholic. That I Give Catholic campaign has grown now to be 39 dioceses. Last year, it took in about $7.6 million in one 24-hour period across the country. Now, because obviously parishes are hurting certainly, and they're going to be hurting financially as we come back from this virus. They have turned back the website. They've activated the website so that around the country, people who want to donate to specific Catholic charities and ministries, schools, churches, that kind of thing, they can make a donation online, safe donation, and it's going to be open from now until they shut it down. So it's going to be a great way of being able to put people in touch with donors and really to help, because we know that certainly the next few months, we just don't know what's going to happen with ministries. Certainly there are budgets, there are bills that have to be paid. So if you are in a parish, it's just a reminder, don't forget your parish and your regular contributions. They really need you now more than ever. So if you can just kind of keep that as in the forefront of your mind. And it's a great deal that the Catholic Community Foundation is doing. We had a funny story this week. I think Archbishop Chappelle, of course, they've been out of school. They have almost 600 students. It's an all-girls school in Metairie. The girls were kind of, they were sad, actually, not being together in school. The associate principal, Suzanne Panzavecchia, said they were getting calls from the mothers. The girls are crying because they're not in school. So what can we do? So they had the girls kind of pick a name, vote on a name for the school, and about 200 different choices came in, and the girls got to vote in a survey. And the survey, the winner was, and I thought it was pretty cute, the Chappelle Quarantines. So that's what they're naming their remote school, the Chappelle Quarantines. And they're all happy. The winning student got 2 free pizzas, and they delivered it yesterday. So it was great. It was great.
Wow. Just like the Katrina class of 2005, we're going to have a Corona class of 2020.
That's right. That's right.
Unreal.
And we have kind of an update also, some other girls, high schools, and what they're doing. We talked to Mount Carmel and Dominican, Ursuline, and Cabrini, and we have photos, some of the girls sitting at their computer, or some of the teachers sitting at their computer doing stuff. So, it's kind of, we're getting little dribs and drabs from different schools on what they're doing.
And we encourage you, if you're a teacher or a student who has something to share or reflection on this time, please let us know. Our mailboxes are still available, and we'd love to hear from you. We update the information on the drive-through times at 16 school cafeterias offering free breakfast and lunch. It is Mondays and Wednesdays only from 10 a.m. to noon at those 16 sites, which you can read about on our website. And you will receive meals for the whole week, just 2 different opportunities to pick it up. You have to have your child 18 years old or under to receive the meals. That's the only stipulation. You need not have any kind of Catholic school affiliation. Anyone can bring their children to pick up those meals.
Okay. And Christine, speaking of meals and food, what do you have from Second Harvest?
I talked to Nally Jara, who's executive director, and she says they're down to 182,000 pounds of food. And normally they do 3 million pounds in a month. And because of all of this crisis right now, they should be doing 6 million pounds, but they've had trouble buying food, especially like last week in the beginning of this when people were hoarding food. They couldn't get the bulk foods from the distributors like they normally do, but it's starting to get better, she said. But she would appreciate if everybody would just go on their website and donate some money so they can get food out, because they are giving out 1,200 meals every day to seniors, and another 325 meals to some places in Calcasieu Parish, because their Meals on Wheels program doesn't work. And they have an influx now because of everything shutting down, like the hospitality workers. They are new to having to come to Second Harvest to get food. Normally it's the elderly and kids, but now they've got a whole new group of people that never ever go that have come in for food. So they really, really need help.
Boy, that's really great to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we hope to be back in the very near future with another Clarion Herald video update, and hope you enjoy it. And pray for each other, pray for the end of the coronavirus, pray for Archbishop Amon and his return to health, and God bless you and your family always. Thank you very much.